Get him! Get him! Nice. What's going on, everybody? It's Monkey Farm, and we are back with another episode of Scrap Mechanic. Today is episode 5. Previously, we have built a car with an opening garage, some gyroscopic vehicles, a Star Wars pod racer, and last episode, we built a robot/Jeep transformer, which I think is my favorite so far. It is super awesome. So if you missed any of the previous episodes, check out the playlist. There's a link in the description. I will try to put one on the screen as well. All those videos can be found there. And if you are new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and, of course, the like button if you enjoy the videos. So let's get to it. Today we have the Rockem Sockem robots toy that you guys probably had as a kid. If you remember, there was a red robot and a blue robot, and there were some handles on each side, and the robots would kind of rotate back and forth as you move the joystick. I guess it was called a joystick because it wasn't electronic. And then when you push the buttons, it would either punch with the right arm or the left arm. And what you would try to do is punch the other robot, and if you punched him hard enough, his head would spring up. Super cool game. It was super fun. Okay, to show you how to build this, I have removed the second robot, and I'm going to rebuild it for you and show you how it works. So as you can see, it swivels to the left and the right, and as it moves, you can see it rotates as well. So if I move to the left, which I'm basically using the steering wheel to turn it right or left. So if I turn it to the left, it rotates clockwise and moves to the left. Now, and then if I let go, it just goes back to center. If I steer it to the right, it will move to the right and then rotate counterclockwise. And that will make sure that it's always pointed at the other robot. And then what you do, you have the punching mechanisms attached to these two buttons. Okay, the boxing ring itself, it doesn't matter how tall off the ground you make it. You can just make a platform, but make sure you have enough space to work with underneath, because you're going to have to place a bunch of things and then wire everything up. So you want to make it easy to get around and everything. But the platform itself, it doesn't really matter that much what size or how tall it is or anything like that. So what you need to do, you need to make sure that the boxers are spaced correctly, a good distance apart. So you need to have 4 blocks in between where the boxers are connected to the floor here. And then this bar right here is what's going to swivel back and forth. So what you need to do, count the correct amount of blocks away, which is actually 4 here, and then the bar is 5 blocks. What you need to do is put a bearing in the ground at the correct distance, make a 1x5 block. Oh, this is not, you can't see it very well. Let me change the material just so you can see, and make sure you place it on the bearing because it needs to be attached to that. And then all the other ones you need to attach to each other, not to the boxing ring, otherwise it'll get stuck. So as you can see, we have a bearing here and we have this bar 5 blocks tall. Then what you need to do is actually put a bearing here, a block. I used a round block just so it can turn and everything. I don't think that really matters much, but it's possible it won't be able to rotate if you use a square block. And if you need more space or it gets stuck or you use the wrong block, just keep an eye on this and make sure it's not getting stuck here. So you need 2 bearings, and the reason you need 2 bearings, one underneath and one on top of whatever block you place on top here, is because when it turns to the right, we're going to have 2 different controllers. When it turns to the right, it's going to have to swivel left. When it turns to the left, it's going to have to swivel right. And you're going to need 2 separate controllers to make that work. All right, and then what we did here, what did we do? We used this ventilation grid. I guess I can replace that. And you need to push Q until it rotates to the correct spot. Now, if you hold down your mouse button and drag it a little bit, you can place it on that bearing and movement. And thank you. There was a commenter on one of my last videos that actually told me that. So you can kind of hold down your mouse button and drag it if you're not able to place it in the correct spot. So just a helpful tip. Let's put a couple shoes down for the boots. I placed them 2 blocks apart, so there's 1 block in between the legs. If you're making this bigger or smaller, I guess you can adjust it accordingly if you want. All right, I'm gonna slap a couple of legs on here and a bar horizontal. Let's see if I can do this. Horizontal bar for the hips, I guess you would call them. All right, so we need a couple of these bars here for the body. Now I use these transparent kind of ones, the non-solid ones, so that you can see through them. You want to be able to kind of, see what's going on the other side. If you have a multiplayer opponent working over here, you want to see, what they're doing. I don't know. Then what you need to do is place a bearing on each side for where the arms are connected, and you want to have a block. Now, I did the arms this way to make them look good, but since we don't have, I guess you'd call it an elbow, we don't have an elbow bearing or a joint, an elbow joint, something like that, you're going to have to use 2 different pieces for the arm, and you don't want them to be separate. So I kind of added this extra shoulder. This is just for looks, to make it look better. Let's get an elbow. All right, so that's the part that's just for looks. And then we're going to need a bar facing down, and then a bearing on each side for the elbow, and then another bar. You want to click it and drag, so you have to make sure it's actually attached to that bearing. And then for the boxing gloves, I've got to get underneath here a little bit, but I just used some elbows. Use 3 of those, and I'll get the top one in a second. Whoops. There we go. Let's hop up here and get the top one. There we go. So those are the boxing gloves. All right, then for the head, what I used is that, a small tank, and then, of course, the traffic cone for the hat. You can place it better than that, I guess, if you want. Here, let me see. That's a little bit better. That'll work. And then you poke a hole in your floor, and then everything's good. So let's patch that back up. All right, so let me double check and make sure I have all the elbows and everything that I need. I think so. Okay, so we're going to have to get into the electronics now. So we're going to have to grab our controller. We want a button. We want a driver's seat. Actually, I already have the driver's seat placed, but that's all right. And we're going to need some sensors, which are right here. All right, so I'm going to place a sensor. I'm going to rotate it until you see the spotlight facing you. I'm just going to place it kind of right to the side of this arm here. And I'm going to do one on each side. Hopefully they're placed equidistant apart. And then somewhere over here, you know, it doesn't matter really how they're placed, but you need a controller for each side. Is that placed correctly? I think that's correct. All right. Want everything to look nice here. All right, here comes the fun part. Let's wire this thing up. Okay, so first we need our driver's seat connected to this swivel, and that's the one that's on the underside of the boxing ring that this bar is attached to. So in other words, the one right underneath, right in between the sensors there. So that one. And we're going to have to connect the driver's seat also to these buttons. I'm going to use number 1 for left and number 2 for right, because that will be left and right on your computer keyboard. Okay, then what we need to do is connect these sensors to the controllers right next to them. So that one will go to the controller on that side, and this controller will go over here. And what that's going to do is each of these is going to connect to one of these little bearings underneath underneath the, I guess, the platform that the boxer is standing on. And we'll do this one to the top one. And just to make sure, did I do the same over here? I did the one on the right to the top one. Okay, so just so they're both symmetrical the way I did it there, this one will go up there and up there. And the direction you want them pointing, you want them going opposite directions. So I'm going to switch the one on the bottom to go counterclockwise. The one on the top will go clockwise. All right, then what I need to do, I need to check the direction of the steering wheel. Let's see, that one is going clockwise. This one's going counterclockwise, so I'm guessing that the controls are going to work incorrectly. So I'm going to push left, and it actually moves to the right. And if I push right, it moves to the left. So what I need to do is just change that direction. So now, if I push left, it actually moves to the left, and then that one moves to the right. Okay. So now what we need to do is change the rotation of these controllers so that when the boxer moves to the right or the left, he actually rotates to make sure he's still facing the other boxer. So we're going to do a, what is the distance? Negative 45 degrees. All right, I'm stuck. All right, so we need to change these to negative 45 degrees on the, I guess you'd call it the first action, meaning not the very first default rotation, but the first one after that. And keep it on full speed because it is still pretty slow even at full speed. So we're going to go negative 45 degrees on both of those. Now let's test them out. So when we rotate the boxer now with the steering wheel, what should happen is he should still rotate towards the boxer. Now see how slow he is even at full speed? So it'd be nicer if he was going a little faster, but that's as fast as it'll go. Okay, now here's the fun part. We have to hook up the arms and make them punch correctly. So we have two buttons over here, and they're connected to the steering wheel already. So we need to add two more controllers underneath here somewhere, and hopefully not get stuck. All right, so let's wire them up. We are going to connect this button to that controller, and this button to that controller. Now what we can do is wire up this controller to each arm. Okay, so if you remember, the one button controls the left arm for a left punch, and the 2 is going to be the right arm for a right punch, or a right arm punch. So we need to connect the controllers underneath here to each arm. So this one is going to go up to the left. We're going to do number 1 is going to be the top. Number 2 is going to be the, I guess, the elbow. So the number 1 will be the shoulder. This will be the elbow. And we'll do this for the right arm up here. All right, now onto the rotation for these. So this part doesn't matter as much because you can change the controllers to rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. So this is not that important. You're basically going to have to just test it out a little bit and see which direction your bearings are pointed. So what I'm going to do, just for simplicity, I'm going to do the opposite. Since these two boxes are facing each other, I'm going to rotate them opposite each other. And that way I can use the programming I did in those controllers and just, kind of do them opposite of what this is. So, wait, that one and that one. So these are all, they're the same if they were pointed the same direction, in other words. So why don't I just go up here, and I believe we did 15 degrees and 135 on the second bearing, or maybe it was negative 135. Let's go check the other side real quick. 15 and 135, yes. Make your boxing ring a little bit taller. My head's getting stuck walking underneath here. All right, so I'm going to push this, and nothing moves yet. But as you can see, his arm is lifted up correctly. So we did everything right. Let's see. Let's do this again. So the default position is going to be 15 and 135. Okay, that one moved up. Did it raise or did it move the wrong way? Nope. Everything looks good there. Okay, next what we need to do is program the actual punching movement, because right now we don't have any movement connected. We just have the default position set. So let's go over here and see what we have. We have 75 and negative 120, and we'll do that for both of these, and that will be position or step 1. What was that? Negative 120, 75 and negative 120. And once again, this is all full speed. So 75, negative 120. All right. Now when we push these punching buttons, 1 and 2, we should get the punching movement for both of these, and we'll have the rotating action. So now what we can do, we can try to knock the other guy out. Oh, uppercut. All right. So pretty good. We're pushing him around. We're killing him. Pretty good. All right, so the other thing I wanted to do, as you can see, the real Rockem Sockem Robots game had a movement where the head pops up whenever you kind of like knock him out or uppercut him. And we don't really have that because, let's see, these are attached. Now, if I remove both of these, I have to be really careful when I rotate. See, the head just falls off when you rotate, so you have to be a little careful. Let's see if we can punch the other guy's head off. That was pretty cool. All right, so what we need to do, let's figure out, you know what? Let's try it to where the head is attached, but the cone is not attached. Maybe that'll work a little bit better. Let's see. Maybe that will work. I'm going to grab this little piece, I guess. So we'll put our neck. We'll put our small tank will be attached. And then what we'll do, we'll put a block here and a block here. And we'll put the cone on top of it. And then just kind of delete that block. So now the cone is not attached. Maybe when we rotate the boxer now, it won't fly off as much. Nope, totally flew off. So that didn't work. Okay, so I've made one adjustment to this. I have put a bearing on the neck, and since the cone is kind of like not centered on the top of that tank, I think what we can do is if we can tell if we punch him in the face. There we go. Is his head rotating? I like that noise. It shows that we're beating the heck out of him. All right. Let's see. Rotate. And can we get the head to rotate? Oh, it's rotating. Nice. Okay. Well, that's one way to tell if you've hit him in the head. It was a little rough. I'm gonna have to look into this and see if there's a better way. If you guys have any better ideas of how we can kind of identify, you know, how hard we've hit him, or if we've hit him hard enough or something like that. I guess one way is to have the rotating head a little bit. Other than that, you know, it's not, I thought about putting sensors in, but the sensors would detect when the other robot moves, not necessarily when he is close enough to hit him. So that probably wouldn't work very well. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with how the game turned out. So far it's working pretty good. Let's get the camera up a little bit so we can see. And it is kind of fun. There we go. That was a good punch right in the face. Let's see, rotate. There we go. Got his head rotating. So it does work. It's a little bit clunky, but it's a super fun game, and it brings back the old memories of if you were a kid and had that game, or I don't know. It's probably too old for a lot of you. I think it was a pretty old game even when I was young. So anyway, that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoy it, and make sure you are subscribed and thumb up the video, and we'll see you all next time.